There is a quiet rebellion happening inside the bodies of hundreds of millions of people right now. Their cells are refusing to listen to insulin. They are ignoring the signal that should let blood sugar inside to be used as fuel. This condition is called insulin resistance. And when left unchecked over years or decades, it leads to type 2 diabetes, a disease that currently affects over 463 million people worldwide, with type 2 making up 90 to 95% of all cases. What you are about to hear is not about a new drug. It is about a specific time and condition, for a specific action that can directly target the biological mechanism that drives insulin resistance at the cellular level. That condition is the fasted state. That action is exercise. First, you need to understand why the cells stop listening to insulin. In the first place, every time you eat, blood glucose rises and your pancreas releases insulin. Insulin acts like a key that unlocks the door of your muscle cells, so glucose can enter and be used for energy. But when you overeat consistently, remain sedentary, sleep poorly, and live with chronic stress over years, the cell's locks gradually stop responding to that key. The pancreas compensates by producing more and more insulin. This high insulin environment accelerates fat storage, triggers inflammation, and damages blood vessels. Eventually, when the pancreas exhausts itself, blood sugar spirals out of control. That is the full journey from insulin resistance to type 2 diabetes. Here is the critical fact most people overlook. The single largest organ responsible for clearing glucose from the blood is not the liver or fat tissue. It is skeletal muscle. Muscle accounts for over 80% of glucose uptake following an oral glucose load. And the gateway muscle uses to absorb glucose is a protein called GLUT4. The glucose transporter type 4. In healthy cells, GLUT4 moves to the cell surface when insulin arrives. But in insulin resistance, this signaling chain is broken, and GLUT4 fails to mobilize. Glucose stays stranded in the bloodstream and blood sugar rises. Now here is where fasted exercise becomes extraordinary. When muscles contract during exercise, GLUT4 moves to the cell surface through a completely separate pathway that does not require insulin at all. Research confirms that aerobic exercise increases GLUT4 expression by 20 to 70%. A single exercise session keeps insulin sensitivity elevated for 24 to 48 hours after the workout ends. This means that if you exercise this morning, your cells will continue to manage blood sugar better until tomorrow evening without any medication. Why does the fasted state make this more powerful? In a fasted condition, blood insulin levels are at their lowest baseline. Low insulin signals the body to mobilize stored fat and use free fatty acids as fuel. As muscles burn fat during exercise, they simultaneously clear out lipid toxic metabolites, compounds that are a primary mechanism through which fat accumulation disrupts insulin signaling in muscle cells. Fasted training has been shown, for the first time in research, to be more potent than fed training for facilitating muscle adaptations and improving whole body glucose tolerance. In high-fat diet models, fasted exercise groups showed significantly greater improvements in insulin resistance markers compared with groups that exercised after eating. The numbers make the case even more compelling. Regular aerobic exercise reduces hemoglobin A1C, the key 3-month blood sugar average, by 0.5 to 0.7% in people with type 2 diabetes. Resistance training produces 10 to 15% improvements in strength alongside equivalent gains in insulin sensitivity. Combined aerobic and resistance training reduces A1C more than either type alone. A 2-week intensive exercise intervention in people with type 2 diabetes reduced 48 to 72-hour average blood glucose by 13%. Even individuals who failed to meet their weight loss goals, but achieved their physical activity targets reduced diabetes incidence by 44%. The research is unambiguous: exercise targets the cause of insulin resistance, not just the symptom. 3 practical protocols and meal options follow that can be incorporated starting today. The first is the 20-minute fasted circuit workout. Drink 1 glass of water after waking, then perform 15 squats. 10 push-ups, a 30-second plank, and 10 lunges per leg. Repeat this circuit 2 to 3 times. Total time is 15 to 20 minutes. This sequence activates the largest muscle groups, simultaneously maximizing the GLUT4 stimulating surface area across your body, and requiring no equipment at all. The second is the post-fasted exercise recovery meal. Within 30 minutes of finishing, eat 2 eggs either boiled or scrambled, half a cup of cooked brown rice or sweet potato, 100 grams of tofu, or a portion of grilled fish such as mackerel or salmon, and a handful of steamed broccoli drizzled with 1 teaspoon of olive oil. The protein from eggs and tofu supports muscle repair. The complex carbohydrates from brown rice raise blood sugar gradually, while the GLUT4 window is still wide open. And the omega-3 fatty acids from fish reduce the inflammation that disrupts insulin signaling. The third is the insulin-sensitizing evening dinner. Prepare a bowl of barley rice at half a cup, a serving of fermented miso soup, with soft tofu and seaweed, 2 cloves of garlic, and a portion of omega-3 rich fish. Fermented miso improves gut microbiota composition, which research links to better insulin sensitivity. Seaweed contains alginate fiber that slows postprandial glucose absorption. Garlic provides zinc and sulfur compounds that support insulin secretion. Barley has a lower glycemic index than white rice, and produces a smaller blood glucose spike per serving. Critical safety information must be stated clearly here. Anyone currently taking insulin or sulfonylurea class medications must take extra precautions with fasted exercise, because these drugs actively stimulate insulin secretion. The combination of fasted exercise and these medications can produce dangerous hypoglycemia. Do not begin fasted exercise if your pre-exercise blood glucose is below 70 mg per deciliter or above 300 mg per deciliter. If you experience dizziness, cold sweats, or sudden intense fatigue during exercise, stop immediately and consume fast-acting carbohydrates such as glucose tablets or fruit juice. People with diabetic retinopathy should avoid high-intensity exercise. Anyone with peripheral neuropathy should monitor foot condition carefully and consider non-weight-bearing options such as cycling or swimming. Anyone with cardiovascular disease history must obtain medical clearance before beginning moderate to vigorous exercise. Consult your physician before modifying any exercise routine. If you are managing diabetes with medication, as dosage adjustments may become necessary as insulin sensitivity improves. Here is your 7-day action plan to implement this starting now. Day 1. Note the time of your last meal tonight. Tomorrow morning, confirm that at least 8 hours have passed since that meal. If possible, measure your blood glucose before exercising and record the number. Day 2. Drink 1 glass of water after waking and take a 10-minute brisk walk in the fasted state. Observe how your body responds. Eat the post-fasted exercise recovery meal within 30 minutes of finishing. Day 3. Add 10 squats and 5 push-ups to the 10-minute walk. Measure blood glucose before and after exercise to see the effect firsthand and record the difference. Day 4. Extend exercise to 15 minutes and attempt the first half of the 20-minute circuit workout. Make the insulin-sensitizing evening dinner for your last meal of the day. Day 5. Complete the full 20-minute fasted circuit workout for the first time. Focus on controlled breathing and proper posture. Reduce intensity if pain is felt anywhere. Day 6. Review your blood glucose readings from this week. Check whether fasting morning glucose has trended lower across the week. Note any changes in energy, sleep quality, or body weight alongside the glucose numbers. Day 7. Share this information with someone who is managing high blood sugar or type 2 diabetes. Accountability and shared practice dramatically increase long-term adherence. Set a target for next week of at least 5 exercise sessions, with no more than 2 consecutive rest days, since the insulin-sensitizing effects of exercise begin fading after 48 to 72 hours of inactivity. The title of this video speaks of helping people reduce diabetes medication. To be precise, fasted exercise does not replace medication. But when insulin resistance improves, body weight decreases, and blood glucose stabilizes through consistent exercise, the conditions may develop under a physician's supervision. where medication doses can be reduced or adjusted. A drug manages the number on the glucose meter. Exercise addresses the reason the number was high in the first place. 1 glass of water and 10 minutes of movement. After waking is where this begins. Your cells have been waiting for exactly this signal.